Sure. Scott Faughn, thanks for joining us here on the Big 550 KTRS.
Oh, you didn't get the memo, my girl. I'm going to change my name to Scott Faughn, Lucky Bastard. I'm no longer Scott Faughn.
That does sound like a Saturday Night Live skit or something, right? Scott
Yeah.
Faughn, a.k.a. Lucky Bastard. All right. I've seen you, and I know you. You're not that lucky. Trust me.
That's true. You're right.
All right. Let's get to the first. Do you have any final thoughts on the legislative session that wrapped up last week? What sort of caught your eye the last week or so?
You know, I think that the session really ended up getting hijacked by this SGR 39 thing. It seemed to cast a pall on everything else. The legislature did do a lot of pro-business stuff, but it sort of got lost in the shuffle of the social issue focus. And I believe in the session, they did end up failing on paycheck protection. They failed to pass a few different measures, some of the companies that came out in opposition of SGR 39 saw some of the supporters of it be against anything they were for. So it really had a way of this minuscule thing that never affected any person since statehood ended up really taking a big effect. And I think what you might see coming out of the session are three things. One, voter ID going to the ballot, where it likely passes. Two, the emergence of House Speaker Todd Richardson as really the leader of state Republicans. I think Roy Blunt's the leader of the party overall, but among state politicians, I think Todd Richardson really stepped up and is now the leader of state politicians. And three, I think you may finally see some pushback, led by Chris Koster, actually, of the state legislature getting back to the business of promoting business. I mean, the social issues are always going to be important, but there is a point where, the best social program is a job. And I think that you may see some folks in the legislature get back to saying, hey, we'll take care of let the preachers take care of the religious stuff. We need to help fix Missouri.
Interesting.
Big lasting impression of the session.
Yeah, interesting. Okay, good. Now, Mayor Slay announced that he is stepping down after 35 years as mayor of the city of St. Louis. And so now, whose cream is rising to the top? What are you hearing?
So we were curious of the same question. So we took a poll. I think you could probably take more name ID and initial support out of it, but Sam Dotson came in at 17%, followed by Lewis Reed at 13%, Jamil Nasheed 12%. Then there was a pack of Lyda Cruson, Tashara Jones, and Greg Daly in there right about 9 to 7%. And then there were a couple more that registered right near 1% or 0. So I think coming out of the gate, you can see Sam Dotson has the name ID. Most think you could run a pretty effective campaign against Sam Dotson if it came down to it. The split in the voting is about 60-40 white voters to African-American voters, and most feel like there'll be a little bit of a internal primary, maybe between a Tashara Jones, maybe between a Jamila Nasheed, Lewis Reed, to see who can get the majority of the African-American support. They generally vote in a more kind of together. The community generally endorses one candidate. I think the big surprise in this poll is that Lewis Reed wasn't doing better. I mean, it was just a few years ago that he got 42% of the actual vote, not a poll, the actual vote. So to show him losing is kind of surprising. Looks to me like Greg Daly's in no matter what, and Lyda Cruson and Sam Dotson may kind of vie for the support of the mayor, the support of the business community. That may be an interesting field. Probably the person with the best chance to crossover is Tashara Jones. She may have the best ability to reach some younger voters in the Central Corridor. But coming out of the gate, it looks like there'll be. It looks like it's set with Greg Daly in, maybe Lyda Cruson and Sam Dotson trying to be the most viable other white candidate, and then it'll be an interesting thing. There'll probably only be 2 African American candidates to be viable. And I think this poll probably doesn't show well for Lewis Reed.
Yeah, really interesting. All names we've sort of heard, all names that have sort of been either family names, well-respected names that have sort of already there. Let me throw out a name for you that you might not have heard, but is getting a lot of attention. Have you heard anything about this Jason Hall who's thinking about running? Absolutely.
I mean, I think if you're in St. Louis and you're in the business community, you know and have a respect for Jason Hall. I'll tell you that as a person that observes politics professionally, you hear a lot of these names that are outside the normal political process, and I'll just go on track record. They did a large track record of coming in and being successful. I would even argue that Sam Dotson has never really put his name on his ballot. And it's a different thing. Dotson, being the police chief in a city with a high crime rate, he has a high name ID. He understands being attacked. He has a for it. But it is politics is different. It's like people coming into radio. They learn that it's a different world, and there's only one way. There's only one business like radio, and you learn a lot of bumps and lessons when you come into it. Politics is the same way, and I think if you look around, we've seen now that there's more of a throw all the bums out mentality of a Bruce Rayner in Illinois or even Governor Snyder in Michigan. You see some outsiders being successful, Donald Trump probably being the top one, but it's very tough, and historically it generally doesn't happen where you come in from outside the political process and win an office like mayor in your first try.
Yeah, it's really interesting really interesting. All right, inside scoop. Scott Faughn bringing it hard this morning. You are a lucky bastard, Scott Faughn. How about that?
I can't wait to buy the book.
A Missouri Times publisher. What website? What's the website address?
It's MissouriTimes.com. You can find us on Twitter at Missouri Times.
And then every Sunday morning on ABC 30, what time?
11 o'clock, right after Stephanopoulos this week in Missouri Politics.
Someday, I hope to aspire to be a guest on Missouri Times Sunday morning on ABC 30. Maybe someday.
What about this week, McGraw? I'll just put the heat right to you.
Let me talk to my people. I'll text you.
That's why you would be good in politics. You're already good at the artful dodge.
Scott, have a good week. Thanks.
You too. Thanks, McGraw.
All right, man. 7:20.